hello, 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 hello. Yeah, there we go. There I am. Alright, now bring me back into OpenSea GD. Alright. Send me. There we go. Classic vertical screen. Let's see. Bring me over to this as well. We will close this one. Or close this project, I should say. Open up OpenSea GD, and then we'll, just continue cracking on it. Keep cracking. So we run whatever we have right now. This is the GUI, so we have the model stuff. I still need to hook that up. Shouldn't be too hard. We have the bones. Oh, well. Oh, good. Oh, good. Toggle page. Okay. So in toggle page, it breaks immediately, so that's good. Okay. So here, toggle page, info page. Toggle page, info page. Info page. It's not in extensions, this is one of the built-ins. And then we just have a long list of everything that is possible, that could possibly be shown. Okay. So, info. Base pop-up tree layouts. Yeah. So each base pop-up has a layout inside of it, and that must inherit. Well, not necessarily. It doesn't always need to inherit from base pop-up tree layout, but it's nice, right? So setup. I'm not actually calling regular setup here. But pages, page name, pages is info. You know, I feel like that should have worked. Bring it back here. So that looked like it was correct. So bones here. That's setup. And bones. Okay. So current page show, current page is equal to null. Current page is null, pages, info is null. Okay, well, there's your first problem. Info, is it not called that? Something doesn't look right. Something doesn't look right. So we go back to model. How did I do that? Oh, I did this wrong. I did this wrong. Okay. So in bones, it should be info. It's not a VBox container. It's actually just a scroll container. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make a huge difference. Bring me back here. Yeah, maybe not. So pages info is still null, even though, bring back to model. That's not it. I mean, that is it, actually. Model doesn't really do anything. So model, yeah. It just sets the initial page as general, and then it calls setup. Then info page is info, info is info defined here. Shouldn't make a huge difference. Although I wonder if it's... Is there a way to remove an item from the tree after we just call setup? Because I'm doing most of this manually. Doing most of this manually. So tree. There we go. So is there? No, we don't want to clear. How do you remove a tree item? Do I just delete it? Oh, hello, Flare Dark Storm. How are you? What I'm doing today is I'm trying to wrap up the last touches on the UI. Well, it's not actually the last touches. I still need to construct most of the UI. So we have all of the random buttons that you could want. So there's a debug console, doesn't do anything. Most of the windows are implemented. They just don't do anything. All right, trying to beat Fire Emblem Awakening on Lunatic. Nice. I was in the middle of a campaign. I think it was the last one I needed to do, and I think it's actually the most canon one, or it's supposedly the one that has the most story, which I think it's the church route. I just got bored because I'd already played through the 3 other routes on hard. And I was like, you know what? It can't be that much different, right? And then on Reddit, I read that. Nope, this is the one with the most story. I said, well, that's unfortunate. But yeah, so this is the UI for model. The bone UI is still broken. I'm not really sure why. So I need to figure that out. But what I can see from here is that these things are still null, which is very strange. Which means I should probably yield until those are not null, I guess. Let me see. Or is it because what I can do is hold on, bring me back. I need to check the scene tree really quick. So we get an automatic breakpoint here. We go into the remote inspector, bones. Okay, interesting. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way. God, Godot's order of execution is sometimes kind of baffling. So I'm seeing what's happening here. Is that this function call setup, I'm overriding it. It actually runs before these run. These onReady var calls, even though these should only ever run after this is finished, because setup is called base pop-up here. So in ready. So we cannot call ready until these onReady things are called. But I guess once you're in an inherited class, yeah, that's a bit weird. Because I also don't want to call, like the obvious solution would be to just override ready, but you can't do that. That doesn't do what you would think it does in Godot. Because GDScript 1.0 is kind of borked. So any built-in functions are called regardless. They're always called. Tried to use Godot once and I couldn't figure it out. I don't know. I think I came where I come from. I came from, and I also still come from just like a regular programming background. So I found this a lot easier to understand than something like Unity. And it was a lot less, I guess, it was a lot less scary than Unreal, if that makes any sense. Because Unreal, not so bad, but if you want to add some like fancy stuff, you gotta use C++. And C++ is not great. Or at least something that I would not want to interface with. I want to make a video game really bad. I don't have the knowledge resources, connections. Well, see, that's the thing, is that I mean, I'm kind of in the... Well, I'm not in the same boat. That's usually how that phrase would go. I'm kind of under a similar mindset, right? I'm not a computer science person, right? I went to school for business. Ended up just teaching myself enough programming to get past a lot of the code interviews. Because I couldn't find a job as a insurance broker or a corporate insurance broker where you make the big bucks. So anyways, because that actually requires a ton of connections. So here I am working as a pseudo programmer. Decided I wanted to make a game, and I was like, man, I hate the programming part, but no one's gonna want to work for me unless I have money or like, you know, a proven track record. So I decided to make a few small games. So I have made a few small games. So it's not so hard to teach yourself. You know, there's the built-in Godot docs. They run you through pretty much everything, and then after that, it's just, you know, what do you think you can do? Like how good do you feel about your own abilities? All right, I think if you are very self-driven, I think it's possible to make a pretty good game. Will it be successful? No, that's a completely different thing. That's completely different. Hard to say. All right. So we need to do this here. Okay, yeah, that's horrible, but it makes sense to me, I guess. To become a singer, TBH was also hard to do. I think that's possibly a bit more random, right? Or a bit more chance-based than becoming a, you know, a celebrated game developer. Or indie game developer, if anything. I have ideas. I think I would work for games. I just can't figure this stuff out. I've tried Unreal, Godot, Unity. Yeah, it's pretty much all the big ones. It's hard to go any higher than that. The only higher one would probably be like Game Maker Studio, but then they recently changed their licensing terms, so it's not as, you know, not as developer friendly. I think it's also subscription based. Yeah, I mean, programming or any sort of like technical development like this, right? Like even like designing systems that interact with each other, you're just gonna have to figure it out. There's not gonna be something that you just read and it just gives you the answer. You know, copy and paste, also horrible. Something that I see a lot is like, why isn't there just something I can copy and paste into my project? That's not how that works. I think it's a bit more chance-based so you don't play guitar. Yeah, that is pretty tough. Well, as long as you play like any of the standalone instruments, and by any of the standalone instruments, that's really only guitar and piano, or keyboard, if you will. So, are you able to play the keyboard, the piano, or do you know how to produce music? Nope. Well, see, you got a long road ahead. I think, why not learn how to play the keyboard? You can buy like a really cheap, you know, it's not going to be a weighted keyboard, but you can buy a really cheap like Roland or whatever, or Yamaha electric keyboard for like $50 and just teach yourself. I think, one, being able to play your own backing tracks, pretty sick, especially in real time. And two, I think it also lets you, you know, it helps teach, or I guess, yeah, basically it helps teach you how like notes fit together. It's hard to explain. But maybe you're like a dedicated singer or whatever. Yeah. Like I was pretty okay at violin as someone who only started playing in like, you know, in school, right? Was able to rise to concert master just based off of that. And then after that, you know, kind of stop there because there's no money to be made there. For key in known bones. Well, no, it needs to be based off of items selected. So we're still connecting to that, yeah. Okay, so on item, but I think I still want to grab this stuff. So on items selected, and then I need to check to see if it's a bone. If it's a bone, then we'll do the requisite bone stuff. Okay, this is actually what I want. I know how to play trumpet and ocarina. I have a guitar I'm gonna try to learn. I have a keyboard I got as a child, never produced music. I actually have a connection. Might be able to help a bit. Seeking bands that need a singer, which sometimes they put ads out and stuff. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for sure, but I wish you the best of luck. That's pretty wild. It's definitely a bit of a lark. Nothing is ever guaranteed, but you know, maybe you'll pull a Justin Bieber or whatever. Who's a recent singer that just exploded out of nowhere? The most recent one I can think of is Justin Bieber, who was like just sang on YouTube. There's a blues bands for some reason. Oh, metal singer. That's the program. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, hard to say. You know, as one musician to another, good luck. Good luck. I played in a metal band in high school. It wasn't very fun. But if that's what you're into. I suppose it wasn't very fun because it was more of a thrash metal band. So it's really just like... I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're just going to play the same thing over and over again, are we? So toggle page, return. Otherwise, we'll want to probably change out whatever things we could possibly be displaying. Keep up with us artists. That's fair enough. I'm in the same boat. I used to work in a kitchen and then I was actually able to keep up with a bunch of artists, but now that's not really what my situation is anymore. Yeah. Okay, I think I remember where I ended off here. So we do want to keep this commented out, and then for every single bone here, we'll do for key in for bone name in bones. And then actually, I don't think I even need to do this in a separate step. I can just do this here. So we know about each and every single bone. And programming is hard. Program is hard. I mean, I did write this program here, so can't be too bad at it. It's free and open source. I'm available on my GitHub, which is what you're looking at here. You got to get that variety to do a ballad or something. Absolutely. Well, I think the style of guitar that I actually am okay at is like fingerstyle. So I like to be able to play all parts of the song all by myself. Or fingerstyle, you usually play with every single finger except for your pinky, except I also use my pinky because my hand isn't big enough to anchor using my pinky. It's just a little too small to anchor with my pinky. So I just play with the pinky instead. So, but mostly self-taught in guitar as well, because it's one of those instruments that's, you know, press down on the frets, pluck string. How hard can it be? So, okay. What we'll do is var vbox. So var bone page will be a vbox container, new, and at the very end we will do, we'll just add child it, bone page. And so it will regenerate every single bone every single time if you like were to rapidly toggle on and off the bone page. I think that's fine. Something that's a bit worse is probably the performance concerns, but that's all right. We will figure it out. And then, a couple people like that, yeah. It's gotten a lot more popular in recent days with the advent of YouTube, and lots of people are seeing the, you know, oh, that's what you can do with guitar. You don't actually just have to play like, you know, standard rock riffs. But actually, even in like standard rock riffs, there's something called chicken picking, where you hold a pick, but then also like pluck strings with either your middle or ring finger, which is also pretty sick. I find that to be pretty hard. But that's mostly because I'm not very good at holding the pick, interestingly enough. So what do we want to have? Generate page for bone name. Yeah, let's encapsulate this just because it's a bit easier for me to reason about. Just went to a Dragon. As a big fan of power metal, I appreciate complex music even if it doesn't sell. I just went to a Dragon Force concert a few weeks ago and it was awesome. Dragon Force is still like a a band. That's crazy. I didn't know they still played. It's also like a super blast from the past, right? Like they got super big back when Guitar Hero 3 came out. Page name is equal to bone name. Then what will we have? I mean, this is pretty self-contained. Like this won't break anything. This does have performance concerns, but I'll just have to think about it. But then we'll also need to register that page. Yeah, okay, hold on. So varp bone page is equal to. I'm still making music. One of the newer songs about Skyrim. Oof. I suppose Skyrim is surprisingly has a lot of staying power, right? I was gonna say like it's kind of weird to make your. At least I find it weird when people make music like contemporary. But you know, I suppose that's neat. Considering that they keep re-releasing Skyrim on all the new consoles and stuff. Oh, hold on. This needs to be not visible either. So page visible false. All right. So what we want is to have a bunch of pages just generated. These aren't really pages, so because they don't actually show up in the tree, but that's fine. So we can click on info. That's okay. We click on root, it's gonna break. Maybe not. Maybe not. Item selected. Shouldn't this be selecting the item? It's because it's not toggling anything, right? Maybe if I put something into the page, it'll toggle. So under info, let's just do that really quick. So bone display, get out of here. Just put a label just so I can figure stuff out. So hello. So you're saying it was his favorite game, that's why they made this song. Ooh. Skyrim, I think Skyrim gets a lot of flack for being like kind of buggy and kind of basic, but I don't know. I think Skyrim's still a good game. It's very impressive because it does set out to do what it, you know, set out to do, if you will. Okay, cool. Oh, 5 bugs. Or 5 things. Node not found, get bone. Okay, that's no bone display. We just have separate bone displays for everything. Let's play Final Fantasy battle music, Bloody Tears from Castlevania, and a song from one of the farming simulator games where they brought a banjo player. I want to learn how to play the banjo. Banjo. That seems cool. There's a ton of stringed instruments. I can't play any wind instruments. Just don't have the lung power for that. Like I could barely blow into a clarinet for more than like a few seconds and get like a decent sound out of it. I think I when I was in school or like middle school, when they bring you out to, oh, here's like the band class, here's the orchestra class, and try all the instruments. I wanted to play trumpet. As you say, you play trumpet, but I just couldn't blow hard enough. So Skyward gets a lot of flack because it's re-released 8 times. Used to play trumpet, it's straight up painful to play. Yeah, and there's a lot of like fancy stuff you need to do too. It's also kind of gross as far as I understand it because of all the spit, which is why like you're not supposed to. Like that's what they warned us. Like don't touch the floor. Don't touch the floor when you are. Like after the band finishes playing. Because guess where all that spit goes, right? You open up the valve and just let it all out. So, oh, that's gross. Alright, let me see what this does. So bone. Okay, cool. That's actually kind of cool. So it maps 1-to-1 back to every single bone. I probably should not be showing off the root bone. But everything else is probably fine. Yeah. One of the things trumpet players do is get used to their lips going completely numb to stop the pain. Yeah, I've heard something like that. It's the same thing as playing like violin, right? Is like, as you can imagine, holding down like really thin metal strings, metal wires with your fingertips. So, not exactly the easiest thing. Not the most comfortable thing. Actually, I wonder, because I'm using the same GUI, or at least I should be using the same GUI for the VRM runner, so I should be able to bring up the... Yeah, okay. That's not so bad. I mean, it looks horrible. It looks really bad. But it also generated pretty quickly. Tit left, tit right. But you have to empty the spit from your instrument regularly onto the stage. Yeah, it's so gross, man. You gotta build calluses and stuff. That's pretty similar to guitar. Yeah, it's similar for any stringed instrument, where you manually have to press down the strings. Unfortunately, like I don't know. I've lost most of my very serious calluses. Like, guitar is not super tough on your hands. Violin is horrible on your hands. By hands, I mean your fingertips. I suppose it also goes down to the type of guitar I play. So, like, I don't play a lot of guitar that has a lot of bending. And even when it does have a lot of bending, it's okay. I can just use like the the finger I usually use to bend, which has the most calluses, my ring finger. Or like I don't usually bend on the highest string, which means I'm actually able to bend it down instead of bending it up. Bending it up hurts a lot more than bending it down. Wow. So the super glue helps when you're first learning, so like, no, absolutely not. I would not do that. No, what you need to do is just basically tough it out, really. I mean, it's not going to get any easier, right? It doesn't get any easier, so I think it's better just to try to build up a tolerance to it. IMO. Unless you're actually like bleeding or something. Now, if you're playing without a pick, that's a bit different. If you're playing without a pick, I've heard that using nail polish helps, like maintain your nails, but I'm assuming that you're using a pick if you're playing with a guitar. Or playing a guitar. Okay, so anyways, that seems pretty cool. I just need to figure out what exactly I want to display on every single page now. So, this is what I have right now. So, is tracked, or pose, or track, or is tracked should pose, and then when you click on should pose, should show one of these things. And by the way, I'm not sure if this is super clear. This is what the application looks like. I gotta fix it. This is what the application looks like right now. So it does work with like standard anime models, and I should probably use this model more since it does allow me to catfish people a lot better. Everyone loves a little catfishing. Let me see. So we'll do. I have this open on my. I have OBS open on my top monitor so I can see it. You want to catfish your anime? You know what? I can't dispute that. That's a good point. Check. So okay, this is tracked or is tracking. So this will be check button, new, or call it is tracking button. Yeah. I think if you're trying to get into programming, this is basically what I'm doing right now is how you would, I guess, build the skills in order to figure out what you are trying to do. Right, a lot of programmers don't talk out loud, but there's a concept when you're like thinking through things. It's called rubber ducking, which is why the default model is a rubber duck, where you explain a problem as if you're explaining it to like a rubber duck. Because whenever you're thinking about something in your head, it's not as like you'll inevitably skip a few steps, but when you have to explain it in words, it's a lot. You miss a lot less things, or it makes you realize, oh, that's like a logical. There's like a logical fallacy here that I didn't realize when I was just thinking about it, right? And then you just need to talk your way through every single problem, which sounds like a lot, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Am I your duck? Yeah, I'm your duck. That's all right. I'm already my own duck, but I do appreciate it. Page add child is tracking a button. Should pose button. Okay, let's just see how this looks, because I'm actually doing this a bit weirdly, as in I'm not doing it. Yeah. I'm not doing it via like the visual UI. I'm doing it entirely code-based, which is kind of, I don't know, seems a bit weird if you consider that Godot has visual tools for this. All right. Var phone name label. Yeah, I think if you are, I can't really talk to becoming a musician. That's one of my dreams that's already died. That's not funny, but it is true, more or less. So what I've resolved to do instead, like I think after I got out of school, like a year out of school, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to become. I don't think I'm ever going to become like a famous musician, right? Like that's probably fair, but I think I could still make my music known if I make like a pretty sick game or something like that. So align center. So here I am, you know, I've resolved myself, you know, we're not going to make it big because of just my raw musical prowess, but possibly can make it big because, you know, you'll do like we'll pull a Toby Fox or something like that. Although it is a bit sobering to know that Toby Fox is like super young. I think he's like a few years younger than me. Do you know how to code a game, or can you brute force it? Do you have to know how to code a game? Do you have to brute force it? You can generally brute force a few games, right? So like, yeah, here's a few examples. Like this is one of the, not this one. This is the game jam game I made for Ludum Dare, one of them, I forget. One of the Ludum Dares. I didn't really know any Godot at that point, but I just made it work in 48 hours. There's a lot of shortcuts. I think there's a lot of things you need to know initially, like how to, you know, how variables work and stuff. And here's another Ludum Dare game that I made. Also playable. This one's actually pretty good, but it's also like I wasn't sure what I was doing. Everything is documented. The VODs are still available on my YouTube, but you know, you don't need to know exactly how to make something. You just need to make sure that everything logically fits together, if that makes sense. Like logically with a few extra steps. Logically, as long as everything logically fits together with a few extra steps, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're making stuff in 2D, because you don't really care about performance in 2D. Modern computers can run things pretty quickly. My dream, become a musician, become a magician. Pet shark. Become wealthy enough that I can afford food and rent at the same time without worrying. Well, have I got good news for you. If you learn how to program, that last stream is pretty reachable. That last stream is pretty reachable. Pretty feasible, right? Like, if you really want to like know where I learned how to program, I learned from Code Academy. Code Academy, I just went through their free Python course. I was like, that's pretty sick. You know, made a few text-based adventures based off of that. I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. And then after that, you just need to, the programming is about knowing how to ask questions correctly. Right? I think computer science, which is something that people get mixed up with programming a lot. Computer science, you actually need to know, like, okay, like what the heck is linear algebra? You know, can you, can you name and implement all the most common sorting algorithms? Like, yeah, I don't know. What's tail call optimization? I don't know. I can look it up. Shall brute force an open world 3D platformer? Sounds tough. 3D is hard. 3D is one of those things that you need to read up on. What language is good to learn? I know a few are fairly common. Well, if I already understand linear algebra, I don't know any of that other stuff. You already understand linear algebra? So you know how to do all the like the matrix math, like matrix multiplication with vectors and stuff? Maybe, I don't know. So I think there's a difference between knowing what linear algebra is and because linear algebra is not algebra, by the way. Linear algebra is like given something that looks like given a 4x3 matrix that contains numbers like this. So we'll just given a 4x3 matrix, how would you multiply that by, you know, a vector like that? Or how would you even multiply two matrices together? And by the way, why can't you do a vector multiplied by a matrix? You must do matrix multiplied by a vector, you know? You know how to do matrix multiplication stuff? Okay. But that's computer science. You almost never need to directly interact with that, or at least I haven't really needed to. You know, as long as you are able to learn things on your own, like you're able to guide your own learning, I think you'll be, yeah, you're pretty much set. Like you understand math, that's better than the majority of the population. Might be better than me. I struggle with basic arithmetic, but when we are talking about like everything, if everything is a variable, that's not hard. Not hard at all, as long as I can always plug it into a calculator afterwards. Like, I think that's something that always gets a lot of people. It's like, oh man, like this guy made it through like multivariable calculus plus like advanced statistics, where they, you know, basically like the regular statistics class, but no fancy calculator. So I learned that in advanced algebra class one, I used to get in trouble in school because I could do advanced algebra in my head. What do you mean by advanced algebra? What do you mean by advanced algebra? Algebra is kind of algebra, right? So once you know how to do like variable substitution and all that, that's pretty much the extent of algebra. And how to use Excel, does that help? Not really. Unless you're really, really good at writing macros, in which case, maybe. So this should be a, so these are just a bunch of check buttons, okay. So should move model, text. Let's see, should move model. These are buttons, these are not titles. Not like super advanced, I can do equations. You might teach how to take a penis to solve in my head in under a minute. Met a lot of people like that. Most of the time they are slightly overstating it, but I'll take it at face value for now. Yeah, but I'm not sure you... I have my doubts about linear algebra unless you have taken like a college course. Are you currently in university? Probably the first question, and then we can kind of drill down to where we actually are. Relation buttons. So this will just be a node. Actually, that won't just be a node. Maybe it should be a node. Well, let's do it as another VBox container. I know I'm good at math. I also just hate math. Sure. Sure. He tries to say with the highest amount of respect he can muster. In community college, I learned matrices once in Algebra 2 class. Recall finding it easy. I haven't touched it since I have to refresh on that. All right, so that's not linear algebra. So I gave a very basic example of linear algebra. That's a very basic example of linear algebra. So basic matrix multiplication. So, which is something that you can also learn in physics, I think, but a basic physics class. But that's not quite linear algebra. It's close to, because I've actually technically never taken a linear algebra class either. I know that there's a lot of applications for it, especially in programming, but the fact of the matter is that's not really it. You don't need to know any math. You don't need to know any math, really, because I don't know any math. I think it's good to know how much you know and how much you don't know, shall we say that. So I think it's better to not overestimate yourself. Because when you start overestimating yourself, it becomes very obvious how much you do know or how much you don't know. It's better to not estimate yourself at all, actually, in my opinion. Basic understanding of it. Yeah, fair enough. I took a physics class at the same time. It can be confusing too. It's possible. So yeah, that's one of the tricks of the trade. Don't ever try to say that you're good at something unless you are certain that you are 100% better than average at something. Should zoom model. So like I think if I were to like rate myself as a game dev, I would say I'm about average, hopefully. I have released a few games, so in terms of releasing games, I guess I'm a bit above average in terms of that. Because most people don't even release any games. They just talk about it. But that might also be hubris. Hard to say. Start learning programming. I'm going to assume I don't know anything. Well, programming is just like how good would you say you are at writing essays? How good would you say you are at writing essays? No, you say you're perfect at everything, and when you're put on the spot, you panic and wing it. That's the method to success. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's good to get the one chance. Yeah. So you'll get your one chance because you say you're perfect at everything. Then people realize that you're lying and then they never give you another chance. So unless you know yourself to be good at, you know, winging it. And I think a lot of people think they're good at winging stuff, but it's very obvious when they're winging stuff actually. I would not do that. They say writing essays. I don't know, man. My managers say they know everything clearly. They're still employed. Well, yeah. That's also my job, is to say that we know everything. But the secret is that they just need to know a bit more than you do. Right? You don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than whoever you're talking to. So push the envelope as much as you can, but don't push it too far. Right? You know, if I said like I'm able to lift, you know, I'm able to bench press, you know, I'm roughly 150 pounds in US units. If I said I'm able to bench press like 170, be like, yeah. 200, I'm able to bench press 300, absolutely not. You know, is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. You know, you gotta keep your lies believable. Now, how much can I actually bench? I don't think I can actually bench that much anymore. I used to be able to bench my own body weight, and that was, well, body weight in plates, then, you know, also the bar. But, you know, when you're talking to other people, you always say, like, oh, a little bit more than my own body weight. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Lie enough that it's believable, but don't lie too much that you accidentally propel yourself to being really good. Right? People love people that are really good. But then if you're not able to live up to expectations, you pretty much immediately blacklist yourself. My current job is to say I can't lift anything, so I clearly can't, so I don't get asked to lift 200 things. Yeah, 200 pounds by yourself. Depends on what we're talking about, right? You know, if we're like comparing what we can do in terms of, you know, prowess at the gym. I think it's better to overstate a little bit. I think we're talking about prowess and like, oh, like I need someone to move this box. Might want to be a bit more reserved in what you're doing. Can I lift something that weighs 100 pounds if I have to? But you asked me, I can only lift 50 because I'm not doing that crap. I don't have to. Yeah. I work at a hardware store. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I personally also, well, I keep saying also. It's not also. I don't work at I used to work inventory at Walmart, and that was a lot of fun. And then they would always ask me, like, hey, do you want to help unload the truck? I'm like, nah. You see how big I am? Like, could I have done it? Maybe. Probably. You know, those things aren't actually that heavy. Like, the heaviest thing that you lift from a truck is probably 50 pounds. It's just easier to just grab things off the line and sort them. On pose model toggled. Guy bought a fully grown tree, things like it's like 200 pounds. I could only get one guy to help. Had to ask the customer if he could help too. Purposely avoided Walmart. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I think most people, when they're buying really heavy stuff, as long as it's a dude, they're willing to help. I find that, you know, men willing to help, women depends. Depends on who they are. It's not a sexist thing, but it's just like, well, I guess it is somewhat sexist, right? Because it's like a cultural thing where you know, you're supposed to, you know, if you're assuming that you're also a guy, maybe you're not a guy. I don't know. As a guy, I find that whenever I'm helping my my lady friends. I was like, oh, you want me to help? What? I was like, yeah. I mean, technically I'm not getting paid, so I'm not going to do everything myself. And then we can hook things up here. I'm cashier, that's not even my job, I gotta do it. Yeah, a lot of guys don't usually want to, but will. Some of them I've helped to help me lift up, but mostly get older women, they don't. Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you also program games like Godot or another engine? Oh, I do program games with Godot. Glad you asked. I'm a guy. Congratulations, you are a guy. I do make games, look at that. Some of these aren't games though. I would recommend, if you want to play any of these games, you should either play Giant Horse Deathball. That's a pretty good one. This isn't a game, but I thought this one was pretty cool as well. All these are made with Godot. So this one's pretty neat. This is a painting program. As you can tell, it's called Color Typewriter. So you press escape, you can hide it. This isn't even the latest build. The latest build is actually way cooler. But yeah, because it has a lot more features. I just haven't gotten around to publishing it yet. So this is a Color Typewriter. I think the latest build has the ability for you to press enter to go to the next line as well. Then you can press tab to just use a circle instead, etc. Giant Horse Deathball, this is pretty fun. I'm not going to play it on stream though. It makes me a bit self-conscious. Party rotations is an interesting idea. Don't play Nightmares and Other True Stories. This is not a game. This is a programming language that I wrote in Godot. Ultra Asteroid Shape sucks. Don't play it. Not enough room in this space bar. This one's actually okay. And don't play any of these. Don't play any of those bottom ones. So that's basically it. Color Typewriter, Giant Horse Deathball, not enough room in the space bar, and I think Party Rotations. Party Rotations is okay. Party Rotations is okay. I wanted to go back to it, but I just never did. So control, so on pose model toggled. Here, what we'll do is should pose button. We will connect it to a signal. This will be toggled. Yeah, because the check buttons are always toggled because there's check buttons and check boxes. Gotta remember that. Yeah, I'm trying to finish all this up because I'm rewriting this application here. But because I've committed to it. Because you can see here, it's free and open source. It has a few hundred stars. And by a few hundred, I mean 200 stars. And then there's people that want to help write additional tracking backends. I just don't have enough time. But they're waiting on me, so therefore I need to hurry up. So that's kind of the situation. That's where I am at in my life. How much RAM do you think I'll need minimum? You need 1 gig minimum, I think. Well, it depends. Which game are you playing? Any of the web games, pretty much any Godot game will require 1 gig of RAM. So I think if you only have 4 gigs of RAM on your computer, you might be in a tough spot. You can be in a tough spot. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about before. I don't know. Walmart, second shift, not so bad. I've never been a cashier. Wrapped burritos for 2.5 years during school though. That was fun. That was probably the best job I've ever had. I think if I could just wrap burritos for the rest of my life and also get the same pay that I get right now, I think I'd be down. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. I haven't actually done anything with this code, by the way. So if state, then we'll do control show, else control hide. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. So what I've done is I connected should pose button. Should pose button is the standard kind of iOS check button. So we connect that. So whenever that's toggled here, we'll connect it to ourself on this method. And then we'll also pass along this button as a argument. And so if it's true, as in we checked it on, then we'll show the control. Otherwise, we'll turn it off. How easy. I have 3 more left. Well, that's okay. I think as long as you have 2 gigs of RAM as a buffer, you should be fine. Like, RAM is meant to be used. It's only when your CPU usage starts to get really high that you need to get nervous. Like that's the reason why Google Chrome uses like 1,000,000 gigs of RAM, right? It's because it's greedy. It holds onto RAM and then does not give it back. Should pose. Look at that. Okay, cool. Look at that. So I think I'll need to do a few things. I need to toggle this off whenever you go away from it. Otherwise, you're gonna get some weird. You're gonna get some weird stuff happening. It's not hard to do this. Let me see. That's why I hate Google Chrome. Yeah, Google Chrome kind of sucks, but also it is like the standard browser nowadays. Unfortunately, it has the most compatibility for anything. Right? Like, what else are you gonna use? You're gonna use Firefox? Like, Microsoft Edge is based off of Chrome. I think Opera is based off of Chrome. Don't use Safari. Safari sucks. Because Safari, I don't think Safari has... Yeah, Safari doesn't actually have, like, good OpenGL or GLES2 support. OpenGL, basically. So sometimes you'll say GLES2 or GLES1 or whatever. That just means OpenGL. Just a different version of OpenGL, but it's all roughly the same. Let me see. On item selected. So on item selected. I didn't copy the entire thing. No, that's it actually. It's just that I have the habit of opening 20 windows. Well, have you considered opening like 20 tabs instead? I think having a lot of windows open is a bit heavier than having a lot of tabs open, right? Because every single window requires its own window context, more or less. Usually they can share it, but sometimes like basically the more separate windows you have open, the slower your computer's going to be. In general, that might not always be true, but I think if you're trying to save performance, that's probably the first place I would go. Turning all your windows into just tabs, that can help. On item selected. So then I need to check to see what the current page is. So if, oh, hold on. So if current page is not info, or if current page is info, then that's easy, right? Then we'll just call the basic whatever. Otherwise, I'm gonna grab this code. Well, actually, I should just grab all of this, right? Just grab all this by default. Don't toggle the page. We'll do this. Otherwise, so handle bones. Have you tried Godot 4? Was it stable? It's an alpha, so I suppose you can probably glean from that whether or not it was stable or not. Whether or not it was stable, sorry. Repeated myself inside the same sentence and even the same part of the sentence. So, Godot 4, not stable. I suppose I'll just answer that for you. I have tried it several times before. So, you might remember I was showing off that REPL from before. So GD Lisp REPL. I did port this Lisp to Godot 4 several times. I ported it last year in June 2021, not stable. Did mostly work. And also ported it in September as well of the same year. Still not stable. I think recently, I think they finally fixed a lot of the, some of the Vulkan stuff at the very least. There's still a ton of GD script bugs, which is more what I work with. I can't really speak to 3D, I don't do too much 3D. But in terms of just GD script stuff, there's still a ton of bugs. Watching the ultimate slice of life anime, Wasteful Days of a High School Girl, reminds me of all the other animes I watched. Nice, nice. Okay, I think I need to. I can't just do this as a standalone function anymore. I think I do need to. I need to wrap all of this into its own thing. Okay, so we'll go into here. We'll create a VBox. Layout full rect. Actually, that's not true. Should not be a VBox. This should probably be a scroll container. Doesn't matter. My Intel HD graphics won't move it. That's probably fair enough. It also depends on how old your Intel HD graphics are. Some of the newer ones, like if you have like an 1100 series, or not 1100, 11,000 series Intel processor, I think it should be okay. So bone display, VBox container. Are you an anime girl? I'm trying to show off what this application can do, and I suppose I'm catfishing. I'm not a catfish. I am catfishing. I think that's how sometimes you're able to get some people. It's not intentional, but I think the only models that people really put a lot of work into are female models for whatever reason. Like, I get it, you know. You're a dude. You're doing your stuff, I suppose. You do you, yeah. I don't judge too much. All right, so we'll slap this here. Am I in the right thing? Yeah, I am in the right thing. Bone display. Looks good. Thank you, thank you. It's not my model. If I redeem jump 10 times, then it will jump 10 times. I'll redeem jump 13 times. I mean, go for it, right? I mean, it's all it's doing is it's hooked up to this thing here. So I suppose at the very most, it will just kind of freak it out. Hey, look at that. Yeah, we can watch it in real time. Wow. Luckily, this also forces you to burn your own points. So you'll be ever farther away from the pivot. Would not want anyone doing that. Redeeming that, I should say. Alright, so bones. I wasted all my points. Congratulations, I'm proud of you. Proud of you, son. It was worth it. I'm glad you found I'm glad you found value in making these little characters jump. What does pivot do? So the idea of pivot is that, you know, as it says, hard pivot to something ASAP. So if you, I don't know, don't like what I'm doing, you could just redeem it and make a request. I think it's the only channel point reward where I can actually reject it. Everything else will always go through, and I'll just let you waste your points. But I think for a pivot, I can choose to refund you if I want. Yeah. So, you know, you don't like me working on this application? You could just, you know, pivot to playing a game that I have on my computer. Like, I'm not gonna, like, download Final Fantasy 14. That's madness. What games do I even have installed on this computer? Let's open up Steam. Hopefully it's not too degenerate. I have a lot of games. I have Ys 1 and 2, Vampire Survivors, that's a fun game. Sword Art Online, Fatal Bullet, probably the most degenerate of the games I have. Power Wash Simulator. Elden Ring, I haven't played Elden Ring in a little bit. Crocodile, that's not a game, and Bug Fables. And then there's just all these other ones. Good thing I don't have any, like, weird games installed. Crush Crush, what's Crush Crush? Was Crush Crush a game that was there? I don't think there's a Crush Crush. Yeah, okay. Reacting to videos? No, I refuse to destroy my content and also possibly get content ID matched by reacting to videos. I mean, you have like 900 games installed. You know, I used to, but then I got a new computer and I was like, you know what? I don't really need to have all these games. I think I'd rather just have a clean computer and then use it to develop programs and stuff, you know? Oh, actually, I think this could just be a script. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, well, we'll still build it out like this. That's fine. So, that's a control. Absolutely not what we want. Crush Crush is a clicker game when you get waifus and it's super lame. I love clicker games. Might be a hot take from someone who wants to be a game developer. I don't know. I think clicker games, it condenses down like the essence of progression, right? Which is neat. It's neat. Actually, undo this. Kill it. We'll have to unpreload it as well. Just had a brain blast. So bone display, or just bones. Take this out. Like, honestly, I am not a huge fan of packed scenes in Godot. I think they're kind of a pain to use. That's bones. Don't get rid of bones. Get rid of bone displays. Flesh. Search is a loot game. Blush is for husbandos. I mean, I do play like a decent amount of gacha games, or I used to play a decent amount of gacha games, so I'm familiar with the concept. I would say like Genshin Impact honestly is one of my favorite games. Like I think Genshin Impact is very well made. That might be a hot take. It's a game with a few mechanics. I left it after 5 minutes. Thing is, why would you download a mod that has nudity in it? No, Crush Crush isn't a gacha. It's way lazier than, yeah. Oh yeah, I know. It's a clicker game, right? If you want to play a good clicker game, you should play Derivative Clicker. Derivative Clicker. I think, yeah. Oh, I still have my save going. Now this is a fun game. I like this one. It runs out of things to do pretty quickly, but I find it very amusing. No, I don't want to preload this. Wouldn't that be cool if you could just preload an entire web page into your Godot application? All right, so bones. So generate page for bone. That's pretty much the same stuff. But I think what it'll do is this thing. Okay, hold on. Comment all this out. We'll open up bone display. That's what I showed your mother last night. A bone display. Anyways, what's a good gacha game that doesn't require to whale for good characters? Probably Genshin Impact. Like, Genshin doesn't require you to whale because it's single player, and you can beat all the regular content with whatever they give you, right? All the free characters, And you're also just guaranteed characters as well. Like I would also like say Arknights. That's pretty fun if you're into tower defense. Except Arknights doesn't have any pity system, so you aren't guaranteed any super valuable characters ever. Genshin takes so much time. I mean, like it depends on what your opinion on. Like how do you feel about how do you feel about Breath of the Wild? Like, did you think Breath of the Wild was a good game? All right, so we're gonna do this stuff. Yeah, like I thought, like Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite games of all time. Like Guild Wars 2, also a very good game. You might see where most of my gaming preferences go. You might see where where my gaming preferences lie. I like open world games. So, Breath of the Wild, high on the list. Or any game where you can explore. Like I think Hollow Knight, that's probably like number two or three. Breath of the Wild and Genshin and Breath of the Wild and Genshin and Breath of the Wild is way better. Really? What did you like about Breath of the Wild? Did you like the combat in Breath of the Wild? Breath of the Wild combat I found to be pretty garbage. I think Genshin has that constant drip feed of like, oh, like you're gaining resources to do a thing, and your characters are slowly getting better, more or less. Whereas Breath of the Wild was more just like raw exploration, which is still pretty fun. Wish I could run Genshin Impact at 15 FPS. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. If you have like a beefy phone, you could run it via that. If you have a beefy phone, you could do it via that. All right, let's do all this stuff. All right, so bone name is going to be one of the inputs for this. So we can copy over a lot of this stuff. Options list. Add child. Genshin wishes it was Breath of the Wild. Not that I hate Genshin. Have you played Persona? I have played Persona. I found it very boring. I don't know. Might be sacrilege. Yeah, I think Genshin has really come into its own. When it first released, it was basically a Breath of the Wild clone, like, you know, questionable business practices. I think now that it's a few releases in with a few more areas, I think it's, I don't know, like I think some of the stories are the side stories, I should say. The main story is garbage, but the side stories in not Breath of the Wild. Side stories in Genshin Impact are surprisingly like pretty good. Yeah, most of them are very sad though. Most of them are pretty sad, but you know, that's kind of my jam. Everyone needs a little kick of sadness to really make you feel alive, you know? So model, which is nothing like open world. Yeah, I've started playing Persona 5. I got bored. Like I used to really like RPGs, right? But now as like an adult with things to do, like I need to finish this up. I have other projects I want to work on. It's tough. It's tough. Like I like open world games that like, it's things to explore when you want to explore, but then you can also just quit out, and when you come back, you're like, oh, it's like an entirely new world because I've just forgotten where it was. You know? Check button. New. Var should pose button. And ironically, love the comment on Breath of the Wild because if you're skilled enough, you can beat basically anything with almost any weapon except your sticks. That's not true. Not true at all. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the weapon breaking system in Breath of the Wild. I think, like, I'm on the side of like, that's a good system. I like that system. However, you cannot beat basically anything with any weapon. Unfortunately, like, it is skill based, but you do need to also gather enough resources to beat anything, which kind of sucks. So like if you just don't have good enough equipment, you can't beat anything you want. Like, yeah, I guess you could just use bombs, but that's not what I would consider to be a good combat system. Is once all your weapons break, just use bombs. Adulting is the worst. That's true, because when your weapon breaks, you can steal the enemy's weapon. Hinoxes have enough weapons to beat them around their necks. Not really. So if you fight a Lionel and you don't have good weapons, so you'll break all your weapons and then you're kind of screwed, right? So if you were to run at a Hinox with like I don't know, whatever the worst sword is, you have no chance. Like the kind of games too, adulting is yeah, adulting is hard. There's too many things to do, not enough time. Whereas it's weird how that works, right? Is that when you're a kid, you have nothing to do but too much time. But as an adult with like the means to do what you want to do, you know, you have too many things to do now, but not enough time. You know, as a kid, you don't really have a lot of money. Like, oh, well, at least when I was a kid, my parents didn't give me any money. They didn't trust me with it, which is probably that's probably fair. Mostly fight Lionels with bows. They're one of the few exceptions. Lionels are actual bosses. Lionels, I don't know if Lionels are mini bosses, but do they have a health bar? Do they have the mini boss health bar? I don't think they do. And do you usually fight Lionels with bows? I never fought. I don't know. Maybe it's just difference in play, but also your bows can break as well, which sucks. Because once your bow breaks, then you have nothing to fight it with. Riddle me this. What are you supposed to do once your bow breaks? When you find your pirate page of Japanese games, you have infinite content. I mean, I wouldn't advertise the fact that you pirate your games, but all the more power to you. Model button. They don't, but they're stronger than Hinoxes, and your bow breaks. That's kind of your. Well, didn't you just say? If you're skilled, you can basically anything with almost any weapon except for sticks. Didn't you say that? Didn't you say that? Like, it's not being snarky, but like, I don't think Breath of the Wild's combat is very good. Mostly because you can't beat pretty much anything you want with just the base weapons. Because there's never any fallback weapon until you get the was the Master Sword. But in my playthrough, I didn't get the Master Sword until like right before the castle, or not right before the castle, but right before whenever. Because you can kind of just ignore getting the Master Sword, right? For the most parts, is not the most important thing to get. Never broken a shield. I have broken a shield in Breath of the Wild, but like I've beat Breath of the Wild on, what is it, Master Mode difficulty? I thought it was fun. Master Mode difficulty was kind of BS, but you know. And that was where exception and people are below the weapon thing. I never ran out of weapons. I've often ran out of weapons because I'm not really the kind of, I don't know, like if there's no like EXP, then I won't grind. Right, then I'll just go off to the next location. I think it's more talking about how your playstyle really gels with Breath of the Wild's requirements for good combat. Is it around? Master Sword is only required because of true ending because there's a memory attached? No, I don't remember. Yeah, I guess like your playstyle gels really well with Breath of the Wild's combat system. Whereas for me, if there's no EXP, then I don't feel the need to like grind. I'll pick up whatever's near me. I won't go out of my way to pick up every single weapon. And I'd rather just go wherever I want. So I often ran into situations like, man, I just don't have any weapons anymore. So I guess I'll just go. Goodbye. Which isn't very fun. You have to explore for a very short amount of time. You'll find a boatloads of weapons. You probably walk on good weapons to be found within a few minutes. Yeah, but not to fight like hard enemies though. Not to fight hard enemies. Which is what I was talking about. Is that you cannot beat pretty much any enemy with base weapons. Your weapons will break too quickly. Technically there is an EXP, but its invisible value just makes better weapons than enemies spawn. Yeah, I guess, but it doesn't do anything for your character. I think the EXP thing is based off of which weapons you have, isn't it? So if you ever pick up like a really good weapon, it will start spawning in scaled enemies. I think I've noticed that before. So if you just avoid, like if you beat like one of the what are they called, the big beasts, the world will automatically scale, which is good. But I think also if you were to pick up like a, I don't know, something big, a good weapon, the world will also just automatically scale. It's based off what you killed. I thought it was based off what you picked up. I don't know. It's been a while since I've played that game though. I do rate it very highly. Like I think if you're getting offended for the game's sake, which is one, kind of weird, but two, I'm not bashing the game. I think this is legitimate criticism of the game, where the combat system just isn't the greatest thing about it. Once you start finding better weapons, you also encounter head-on enemies, but the scaling is actually based on what you killed. Is it based off what you killed? Like, if you just run over... Like, I feel like I've seen it before, or at least someone explained it before, where if you grab, like I don't know, like one of the thunder swords or whatever, then enemies will automatically scale up as well. So you don't actually need to kill anything, you just need to grab the good weapon. I mean, this isn't something that we need to like theory craft. This is something that you can actually just check. So, you know, links are appreciated. Get it? Because it's his name is Link. But also, I'm looking for a link. Please provide a source. What's the dynamite? If you literally never kill anything, then harder enemies don't scale. Okay, let's check the data mine then. So Breath of the Wild, enemy scaling. Explaining enemy scaling, Reddit. Acknowledgement, reverse engineered. Master credit. Blah blah blah. Story progress, number of kinds of, okay, so kinds of weapons obtained. Blood moons. Upgrades by level. Okay, so it's not based off weapons. That's good. First, I'll clarify what has no effects. Anytime an eligible enemy dies by any means, it counts with increment, even if you had no involvement. Okay, well, yeah, there we go. You're right. There you go. Yeah, you're right. It is based off of enemies that you killed. Good to know. Good to know. Neat. The more you know. Has good info. Well, the more you know. It's based off of enemies that you killed. So you could just run into Hyrule Castle, grab all the good stuff, don't kill anything, and then just get out, I suppose. Seems neat. And child. And then this should all init itself. You can get to the point where you almost exclusively find very good weapons. Well, yeah, that's based off of scaling, but when you can run to Hyrule Castle and still just get really good weapons as well. I know that, because I've seen the speedrun. I've seen the speedrun. On pose model. State cool, and then this also comes with a callback. It's actually become a problem because I need a traveler sword because I killed so much stuff they were hard to find, and it's fair enough. Isn't it like for one of the quests you also need to Let's like get a rake or something. I feel like I remember some stuff. Oh, hello, Profetafen. Prof F Taffen. How do you pronounce your name? How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. And you? I am working on this application, which is why I have the UI up. So instead of having to tab back and forth, I'm just kind of squinting at my overlay, or not my overlay, my preview window. Great. Nice. Discussing some Breath of the Wild stuff. Because I think Breath of the Wild is a very good game, for sure. Turns out I don't know as much about it as I thought I did, though. But I still maintain that the the combat is not a high point of the game. I might have done that once to kill all Lionels before any of the Divine Beasts. Registrar has hard to find because they always spawn in towns after Blood Moons. There's certain weapons that are static, but a lot of them scale. Interesting. Maybe I should play through it again. No, don't play through it again. You have other games to play. You could always play a new game instead of playing a game over again. Like if you look at my I guess my Steam history, how do you find your playtime for Steam games? But anyways, I've played Sword Art Online Fatal Blow. It's actually, that game is kind of an open world game as well, which is why I really like it. It's an open world game with guns and a grappling hook. I'm like, man, I do not care about the story. Like I think I watched Sword Art Online SAO. It was like one of the third or fourth anime I watched after Attack on Titan. I was like, wow, you know what? This anime stuff is pretty good. And then like as I watched more and more stuff, I was like, man, those like first animes I watched weren't very good, were they? Like the story in SAO, first half of the first season is pretty good. It's pretty good. And then everything else is just utter garbage. But the world that they exist in is fun to think about. You know, you can design an actually good game around it, which is neat. All right, so there's more to this than I'm currently considering. Click on the game on your Steam library without opening, I should tell you. Well, yeah, but I'm looking for like playtime for all games. Yeah, I know you can view the playtime. I think it's good that Overwatch isn't in here because I'm pretty sure my Overwatch playtime is like a ton. Yeah, Elden Ring is 45 hours, which is funny because I've only played that game on 3 days. I only played that game for 3 days and I still have 45 hours into it. How is that possible? Last thing I played on Steam was Spooky Jumpscare Mansion, free and funny. Have you played that the classic jumpscare game? Like the comic, because you can kill basically any way. There are more efficient ways to kill any enemies, like Linus above somebody can do it, whatever. Yeah, consider if you have the resources. That's the primary constraint. If you have the resources, if you don't have the resources, you can't kill any enemy. Which I don't think is a signal of a good combat system. Although I do understand what they were going for, is that you do need to prepare for encounters. Yeah, the spooky jump scare would. Did I just say have you played the spooky jump scare game? the spooky jump scare game that has the is like you're doing the maze and stuff. It's just a maze and then it just jump scares you. I remember my friends got me with that way back when. Basically just like I freaked out, fell off the chair, kicked the keyboard into the air. It was a kind of a bad time for everybody. Those are simpler times for sure. Model manipulation buttons. Okay, so we've done the same thing here as we did up there. So we can do kill this, bring me back, bone display, new bone name. I think I don't need to store the bone names either. So common, they aren't difficult to prepare. I contest this. I contest this. Oh, I do need to store all references to bone names. Yes, because I need to build the tree. Yes. Card afterwards. I just walked in a straight line for one playthrough. I'll be behind all the places. I never ran out of weapons. I did run out of arrows a few times near the beginning, though. Well, I'm glad that your experience was different from my experience. It's a sign of a good game, but you need to, I suppose, perhaps take into account that there are potentially other ways of experiencing a game. There's not just the one way, especially because it's not a very linear game. Right? Like I do know that one valid way of playing the game is just running to the end boss. You could just run to Gandon as soon as possible, and it technically is possible. As long as you loot all the weapons that are inside Hyrule Castle. Or what was it called? Hyrule Castle? Is that what it's called? I too have seen that Joseph Anderson video on it. I thought it was neat. So bone page. Okay, so we can get the current page and then we'll call some function on it, which is like resets all buttons. Yeah, reset buttons. Okay, so we'll need to hold on to several things. Or actually, no, we just need to have this variable. So like resettable. Is resettable still with two T's? Resettable. Yeah, okay. Resettable buttons. Weird how that is spelled with two T's, huh? We don't understand how though, because after exploring the map a lot, there's just so many weapons and resources, I never had any problems. Well, yeah, it's assuming that you explore it really well every single time, right? Really more weapons to replace them with better ones that I never broke. Yeah. I mean, I can see that, right? You do get a lot of trash drops, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as it turns out, there are other people in the world. Who knew? who do things in different ways. Now, I think, was it my fault that I may or may not have had enough weapons for every single fight? Yeah, maybe. You know? Maybe. Sometimes you just don't really feel like exploring as much between every single fight. Once you have enough resources, it's like, I don't know, like I could get another Korok seed, or I could just walk somewhere else and then just label it on my map for next time. And I feel like that's a valid way of playing the game. It's not like I was doing like a no item run, which I've also seen. I've seen a few challenge runs, and it's like that's not really a valid way of playing the game. But I think like not picking up or not super exploring every single area or picking up, looting everything that you can is like wrong in that kind of game. No, I think if you want to dispute that, I guess that's your opinion. That's just your opinion. Model manipulation buttons. You know what? I think I need to hold on to this. So we'll just have model manipulation buttons. So we'll take this out. We don't need this. This will be one of the things that we can hold on to. So model manipulation buttons, add child, and then options list, add child, model manipulation buttons. Then reset buttons, we'll do model manipulation buttons, or no, for C for child, and model manipulation buttons, get children. Once it a one-handed weapons and bows only run. Nice. See. Hold on. Hold on. What do check buttons have on it? Is it just like the pressed property? So pressed is equal to false. Something like that. And then these should do their own stuff. Yeah. So reset buttons. So on pose mode toggled. Handle bones. So current page. I think I can... Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can guarantee that this will be of type bone display. So if it's not the info page, it will be the bone display, which will have this function. So we'll just blindly do it. It might break, it might not. We'll figure it out. Current page is equal to... Okay, then we'll do toggle page, page name. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, we don't need this anymore. It was super easy because one-handed weapons and bows are kind of what they expect you to use anyways. Unless this become harder because you need to use a sledgehammer or something to do big damage, but bomb arrows suffice. Taluses are the rock monsters. They're the rock lads, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay, see, I remember things. Big rock boy, yeah. Big rock boy, big rock lad. Should post. Okay, so these are not done correctly. So, options list. Stretch. Size flags vertical. Size flags horizontal is equal to control size expand fill, and we'll do the same thing for vertical. Size flags vertical. Oh yeah, no, I think Breath of the Wild is up there. Guild Wars 2, also really like Guild Wars 2, which is almost the same thing, where you just run around and kill stuff. There's not really any good drops. All the good drops you can, well, I don't know. It's been a while since I've done a random run through of the Guild Wars 2 world, but I like the sense of exploration more than the combat. Guild Wars 2 combat is not quite what I was looking for in an MMORPG, but it's close. It's closer to being like skill shot based than, you know, the WoW style, you know, lock on, press button, face roll keyboard. You know? Should pose. No, not should pose. This should be options list. No, this should be. Oh, geez. Add child and then model manipulation buttons. We'll hide it. So, run me. I do know I can run this from the from VS Code as well, but okay. So the intent here, right? So you can see here that for this model, or for this version of the application, it has a big green screen. I'm going to change this out, by the way, so this will just be default to green screen, because transparency does take a bit more CPU usage, I think. Which is why I do the green screen by default. But this is just using the default ENV. Should pose, whatever. Right, and then these also have pose and stuff. Actually, hold on. This doesn't make any sense. I guess like should pose. That's kind of hard actually. I got to think about it. Maybe this shouldn't have any options. I should just do it in the same way that you're able to pose these models. So if I can find the shoulder. So how this works is that you can pose just parts of the model like that, and then we grab the upper arm. So you can rotate it like that, because you don't actually have three axes of control using just the mouse. You actually need to be able to rotate the model a little bit if you want to affect the other parts. It's a bit weird. It's not really what a lot of people would expect. I think my defaults are actually kind of borked. Hold on, we can do this. A beautiful duck. Yeah, it's a beautiful duck. Yeah. Is this what they... Is that what they're talking about? He's an ugly duckling turned into a beautiful swan. I guess whoever came up with that saying must have been like a furry or whatever. Actually, are ducks? Do ducks fall under furry? I guess they're not actually furry. I guess ducklings are kind of furry when they have the like their initial fluff, but then they shed all that, right, to get like duck feathers. Can you control the gestures in the mouth? You can. So right now nothing is mapped to hotkeys and stuff, although I do want to get around to it. But one, there is like a very rudimentary lip sync thing going on. It needs the ability to set your specific phonemes. I think right now it's using Japanese phonemes. So some pronunciation. It's using Japanese phonemes and it's based off of one dude's pronunciation. So I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but yeah, so you can change things so you can be angry, like, oh, I'm very angry. Oh, geez. The eyes are looking kind of sus, but I'm very mad, you know? You can extra. I think this one kind of breaks. And this is also a source of some bugs as well, because it's not configurable, but that's what I'm working on, right? That's what the rewrite's supposed to solve. But someone was talking about that. Oh, XNFW, I remember you. Yeah. I saw you as well. But I explained it is because some expressions actually have your eyes as being closed. So I think, yeah, so joy actually has blinking disabled on it because, you know, how are you supposed to blink with if your eyes are already closed, right? You know, sorrow. I think sorrow also has its eyes blinking disabled. I'll get around to it. Someone pinged me on Godot. Rather the error be by you can set the precision, but hanging decimals are the cause of floating point errors. Yeah. Sorry. I realized I haven't blinked in forever. Okay, then they're surprised. There we go. I guess I'm not actually able to blink all the way either on this model, because I can see here on the right eye, technically the left eye, but that's actually my right eye, because it's mirrored, right? It's mirrored. So this is their left eye, but it's actually mapped to my right eye. Yeah. It's hard to get it to work, because I need to, like, squint. And I'm tracking at 12 FPS. Which is, by the way, why this application is a bit more performance than VC-Face, as far as I understand it. So I think VC-Face, when it's doing, it's like its preset options, like so there's a few models that you can use. So there's like Toaster, which is like -1, I think. I think I'm defaulting to using Model 3, and you can bump it up to Model 4 if you change the start scripts. But I'm not sure how VC-Face handles tracker FPS. So something that's kind of cool with my program is that I give you full, and it's a plus and a minus, is that I expose the internals, a lot of the internal stuff, just like that. So like, you know, 12 FPS, how bad could it be? And this is how bad it could be, is this is what 12 FPS looks like if you don't do any interpolation whatsoever. So you might be able to tell. One, it's way snappier, but two, it's also like jittering, right? I could turn off the FPS. I'm not going to, because I am streaming right now. I don't want to like accidentally nuke my computer. But that's what the interpolation is for. So now we can interpolate at a rates of, or we multiply all incoming values by 0.1 or by 10%. Or we take 10% of whatever value we have, and then we, you know, store it interpolate towards the expected value, which is why it looks way smoother and it doesn't look like this, which is really bad. But I don't know, it might look okay. It does look really snappy though. I gotta say, it does look really snappy. Instead of like the weird floatiness that you get with this. Better than Cyberpunk 2077 creation? Yeah, maybe. I think it hasn't Cyberpunk kind of gone the way of hasn't Cyberpunk kind of gone the way of No Man's Sky in that it's actually good now? I'm thinking. So what do we want here? I think I can also just run this from here, but if we ever hit an error, it's gonna freak out. Yeah, so it should pose, we'll do the same stuff, and then we'll be able to pose like that. I guess that's all you need for now, and then we'll have other information as well, perhaps. So what other things would you want to have on this page? Probably like interpolation per bone, right? Yeah, probably interpolation per bone. So interpolation rates, I guess. Is that something that people would want? Who was here that was talking to me before about like various issues they had? I said I was taking notes, but then I lost the notes. I accidentally deleted them. So now I don't have the notes anymore. Character needs to stick out his tongue. There's no way to do that, unfortunately. I think if you're using a perfect sync model, which is an extension on top of VRM. So this is a VRM model. This model is actually just a regular 3D model, which is also another one of the cool parts. So a lot of the other like face tracking applications out there, they require you to convert to their format. What I actually do is I just kind of send it. I just try to guess my way into making regular 3D models work. So this is a regular 3D model, by the way. But yeah, your model needs to be built. Your model needs to be built for whatever you want it to do, if that makes sense. Look straight at the camera. Look straight at the camera. Look straight at the camera. Looks okay. Look straight at the camera like this. Okay. No, like this. Yeah. At least the duck can be the mascot of my streams. Yeah. I think someone actually made... Someone actually made an icon. So this is the icon that's used for all releases. Oh, geez. How do I make this bigger? Open image, new tab. Yeah, it's a 16 by 16 icon. So this is the icon that's used. So, you know. I'm going to continue using it, I suppose. Don't close this. Bone display. Yeah, but the duck is pretty sick. The duck is pretty sick. I suppose if you want to have more stuff. Yeah, it should be 64 by 64. I could blow it up, you know, just give it bigger pixels or whatever, but it's whatever. I don't really care. We'll get around to it at some point. Yeah, I guess if you want to have a more direct line on whatever's happening, there is a Discord server. Look at that. Or you could always file an issue. I do not have Discord discussion, or not Discord, GitHub discussions turned on. Mostly because I don't want to have to deal with that kind of stuff. You know, I'd rather keep all discussions centered in one place. But you can, you know, if there's an issue with the program or a feature request and you don't want to join the Discord, just go to the GitHub repository, OpenC page, GD, open an issue. Everyone loves a good GitHub issue. Really bumps up my engagement numbers. Okay, so I think I'm going to have interpolation. So interpolation rates. Or yeah, and there's interpolation rates. So we'll just have this be a var interpolation rates. So this will be line edit. A line edit, I should say. Var hbox container. It's new. So then we need to have this do size flags horizontal be. Just a beginner in programming. English is very defended. Oh, I mean, your English isn't too bad. I think until you mentioned it, I didn't really consider it too much. You know, I think a lot of native speakers also struggle with English. A lot of native English speakers also struggle with English, so you make a few mistakes, I don't really mind. You know, I think one thing I do, and remember, I did mention this earlier on the stream, you should try not to brag about things unless you know that you are good at something for sure. One of the things I would want to brag about is my expertise in English. I'm better than your average bear for sure. I should say finished learning Python. Well, Python, excellent language. Highly recommended. Python 2.7 was my first programming language. Hbox. Then we'll want to add a child to that. So we'll do var. Yeah. And luckily also, GDScript looks a lot like Python. Or it's based off of Python, or at least the syntax. The way it works is not anything related to Python though. So Python has a garbage collector, GDScript is garbage, no wait. No, hold on. Python is garbage collected, GDScript is reference counted, yes. Interpolation label text is equal to interpolation rate. Then interpolation label size flags horizontal. Control size expand fill. Interpolation label, and then here interpolation rate. Can't do any of the text stuff, but you can do size flags horizontal. Read in the forums that Python is similar to Godot and also works for RenPy engine. RenPy, yeah, I know RenPy for sure. RenPy, excellent piece of software. I've never used it. I have looked at their code base before, because I was working on live 2D stuff. So live. I don't have anything. It's somewhere in here. I was working on porting Live 2D to Godot as well. So I looked at RenPy's implementation of Live 2D. One shot at two birds. You mean two birds with one stone? Possibly two birds stoned at once. But yeah, no, Godot is you write Godot very similar to Python, but it's not Python. So for example, if you want to declare a variable in GDScript, you need to say it's a var, whereas in Python, you just kind of declare a new variable, which is my least favorite feature. That's one of the things I really dislike about Python is that it's super loose about how it defines variables. That's not your fault. And people seem to like it, but it's one of the things that just confuses me. It's like, how do you know if you're declaring a new variable or just setting a new variable, or setting a variable that already exists? All right. Also, another thing that I've been neglecting is I actually need to hook these up as well. Yeah, so you have your interpolation rates. You can make this bigger or smaller. And then also, it's slightly reactive, so you can make it really small if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to, but you can. Or are these not... Hold on. Close this. Open it back up. It is tracking. Should pose. Are these using the same page? Hold on. What happened? Wait a minute, I'm confused. So head should pose. No, this is still on root. What the heck? What? What happened? So the root. Ooh. So we on info. Yeah, I guess I should pre-select that, and then we can click on here. Now it's on roots. Now it's on root. Now it's on root. Now it's on root. Now it's on root. What? So we need to click root first, and then we can click the rest of the buttons. Okay, so there's a fallacy somewhere. I'm not sure where though. You can figure it out. Doki Doki Literature Club introduced me to Ren'Py. I think that's most people's introduction to Ren'Py. But yeah, no, Doki Doki Literature Club, that's a good game. It's a good game. I would consider it to be a good game at the very least. Alright. I need to figure out what the bug is, by the way. So on bone display, I think that's fine. I still need to hook it up to various things, but we'll figure it out. This runner thing, I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do var model. So I'll break things really quickly. So this will be guaranteed to be some sort of node. And then I think I'm just going to do it so every single item, every single GUI item will have the... No, hold on. Does the app manager have a thing that tracks the current runner? It doesn't. Okay. So landing screen, run runner. Actually, get current. Oh, we can do get tree current scene. Ah. Current scene. We can do this in the setup function. Ah. Look at that. Yeah, what happened to bug? Yeah, so there's a bug. There's a bug here somewhere. It's hard to describe it, but basically when you go into bones and you click on any of these, it's like, oh, it shows up, but actually, no, it doesn't. It's actually showing the root bone, which is this one up here. But no matter which one I click, it's always roots. Now, when I click on root bone, it's still root bone, yeah. But then we can click onto other items as well, and then they'll actually change to the correct page, right? So that's a bit confusing. So why is it that this only changes correctly, right? Why is it that this only changes correctly once I click on root bone? So once I click on root bone, I can actually switch between each bone. Actually, no, that's not true. Because now I'm stuck on stomach. What happened? What happened? What happened? Oh no. Oh no. So I suppose a page name is nothing. I should also do nothing. Okay, let's do that really quickly. If page name is empty, just return. Don't handle bad pages until they get half of it. Well, I mean, it's the error is fairly straightforward, right? If you don't get it, then you're totally overthinking it. Oh, hello, true and hero. How are you? So what I'm working on is I'm rewriting this application. I wrote this, OpenCPHG. You can find it on my GitHub, which is found here, OpenCPHGD. So this is the rewrite. You might notice that the UI looks way better as opposed to this, which was done under a different design consideration. So I explained it before, but it's like, in terms of UX, user experience, the more you hide options, the less users are likely to use that option. Yeah, people generally use options that they can see. No, I think I went too far in that direction because now it's just too much information all at once. So I think people also tend to suffer from information overload. So if you're presented with too much, if you are presented with too much text, people get confused or they get overwhelmed. So I think this is a good in between. So now I hide a lot of options from you, but now if you want to have the options, you know, now they're all just kind of here. So it's minimum 1 click, probably 2 clicks, but then the cool part is that you can just hide it and whatever. And then you can also, not a bug, open the same window twice, but you can have it open to different things. Look at that. Also, it's reactive, so you can scroll it, all that good stuff. So yeah. Something like that. But none of these buttons are hooked up yet, but hooking up the buttons, that's not hard. But now what I need to think about is why this is not quite correct. So we're on base. Oh, is it if you click on something you shouldn't? Oh, I see. It gets confused. You will push it to your GitHub? It's already pushed to my GitHub. Which thing are you talking about? There's already a release on my GitHub. Look at that. Yeah, just a modicum of searching can find you the answers that you seek. So all the code is free and open source, MIT licensed. Then there is also the branch that I'm working on right now. 36 commits ahead of master. Look at that. Still have not really updated the README at all, but you know, we'll work on that. Tests are all passing. I'm happy to report as well. L plus ratio. Why am I getting ratioed? What did I do? Look, my tests are all green. Or more or less they're all green. There's a few errors, but those are intentional. Just kidding. No jokes here. No jokes allowed. Is the stream funny? Do I amuse you? Am I some sort of clown? Riddle me this. Let me see. So tree item, oh, you know what? So tree item, hide root, that's probably one. Well, it's not probably one thing I'm missing. That is definitely one thing I'm missing. So bone display, bones. Show me your bone. Sorry, root. Show roots. What is it called? Hide roots. Oh, thank you for redeeming a hydrates. That also reminds me, my alcoholic beverage is finished. I'm very sad. Let's drink some water instead, which is usually what you're supposed to do when you hydrate anyways. There we go. That is 700 milliliters, I think. Yeah. No, I didn't drink 700 milliliters. I'm at 700 milliliters. That would be an amazing amount to chug. 2 liters a day. I drink about 3 to 4, so I think I'm good. Of Coke? Well, okay. Hold up. Don't do that. As a responsible adult, you should definitely not do that. Coca-Cola, not great for your insides for sure. If you can, you know, have you seen the PSAs? Is like Coca-Cola can like melt metal. It's like, yeah, it can't be that great for you. And also, tons of sugar. I enjoy a nice Coke every now and then, but most of the time, well, probably alcohol is worse for you, but you know, if I don't double down on this, how will I feel superior to others? Pineapple on pizza? Pineapple on pizza is okay. Kiwi on pizza is a bit strange, but I think I could accept it. If you've ever had like Korean pizza, I don't know if that's if you live in Korea. I guess it's just regular pizza. But in the U.S. at least, you can get like specifically Korean pizza, and then you get all kinds of toppings. So corn on pizza, not that weird. Mashed potato on pizza, it's pretty weird. It's also like delicious. Pizza with pickles. Pizza with pickles, pretty sick. Half a beer and I pass out. Yeah, some of us just don't have the same tolerance level, and I can understand that. I can understand that. Oh no, you know what? No, this is why it's not working. It's because this is not... These are on different columns, but I don't know which one was clicked. Because the tree item... Does this tell me which one was clicked? Ice cream on pizza, cardboard on pizza? I don't know about those ones. Isn't like Brazilian pizza, they have like crazy dessert pizza? Like, yeah, I've had like dessert pizza before. So like pizza with chocolate on it and stuff. It's not horrible. Like instead of like pizza sauce, it has chocolate sauce on it. It's okay. It's okay. It's not my favorite. Not my favorite. Item selected. How do I get which column was selected? Cell selected. No. Button pressed. No. Ice cream on pizza in Japan? No. I don't think I've ever had... I don't think like Asian places put ice cream on pizza. I've had chocolate on pizza. Have you seen like the Brazilian pizza though? Brazilian pizza. Not Brazilian wax. That's something else entirely. Yeah, isn't like Brazilian pizza has like the weirdest toppings? Like yeah, you can even see like right here. Like they have like deviled eggs or just like hard-boiled eggs. That's not very common. I don't know. I mean, this is also totally doxing where I live. I live in Atlanta, by the way. You can tell I'm from Atlanta because I don't pronounce any of the T's, which I just realized. Atlanta. Okay, so I can get the selected column and then pass that back in here. So get selected. Yeah. Then get selected column. So this is tree. Get selected column. Which should still work. Or actually, I think that should just work for all of them as long as I go back to here. So we default to placing things in the tree column, which is 0. But I think if we just do this, it'll just work anyways. Never heard about something so bizarre. And I live next to Brazil. Yeah, Brazilian pizza is pretty renowned for being kind of strange. But okay, so you live next to Brazil. What countries are next to Brazil? There's Argentina. Is Paraguay or is it Uruguay that's next to Brazil? Or are they both next to Brazil? Uruguay is landlocked, right? So that means it's next to Brazil. Does Chile touch Brazil? Peru? Does Peru touch Brazil? Colombia? Venezuela? Most countries in South America touch Brazil, don't they? Argentina? Yeah, I know countries. I used to know, like, I used to be able to, like, point out, like, where every country was on a map without needing to see the borders. Because that's how we studied for, like, our, like, college-level geography exams in high school. It's just like, all right, here's a map, no borders. Point out where all the countries are. I was like, yeah, I can do it. I was really good at that. All right, so model. So this works. Then this one. Okay. Never mind. Not quite fixed. It's like it gets stuck. Yeah, it's like it gets stuck somehow. Yeah. No, it's the same problem. Why? It's the same problem. You need to click on root first, but it doesn't really matter. Because now we're just doing like a raw toggle page, right? All right. What if we just don't handle these in any special way? Chile lives far from Brazil and Peru, but isn't it like it's right next to it, isn't it? Where's Chile on a map? Like Chile is on the left side. It's very long. Probably should do this off screen so I don't show where I live. I think I'm okay with revealing that I live in Atlanta, but oh, never mind. Yeah, you're totally right. There's Bolivia right in the middle. That's my bad. Wait, where's Uruguay? Oh, Uruguay. Yeah, Uruguay touches Brazil, right? Yeah. I know things. Oh, but Argentina doesn't. Oh, does Argentina touch it? Where are the borders? Why can't I see borders? Yeah, okay. Argentina touches Brazil as well. Okay. I know things. Buenas noches, ahí. Buenas noches to you as well. Good evening. Good nights. Is noches evening or night? I'm also not suenen. Haha. Also studying programming. Haha. And why did you go? No. I don't know some of these words. I don't know some of these words. I used to be literate, no longer. I need to get back into the practice of reading Spanish newspapers. Or they weren't Spanish newspapers. I guess they were Spanish because they were American newspapers translated into Spanish. And also from Texas. Ukrainia? It's Ukraine. The more you know. Let me think. So toggle page. The page name is empty, then we don't do anything. Your current page is null. Current page show. Or maybe I should be setting the current page. Let me think. From Texas? I am not from Texas, no. I've done a lot of work in Texas, though. Working in Texas is nice, for sure. Because Texas is one of the weird US states that does not have... has barely any tax at all. So it's better to work in Texas, but I would never want to live in Texas. Of course, I suppose I still live in a southern US state. I heard wrong. Yeah, I read... The newspapers I used to read in order to learn Spanish were from Texas. Okay, so I guess I just need to check this. Like, this seems kind of weird, right? So if we click on this, it's only ever roots, which means I can go to GUI, boom, so here, screen runner. I feel like I don't need some of these. Bones. So current page is not changing. Well, no, pages is changing, but the current page is not actually toggling off on or off, which is kind of weird. Yeah, so I can see that the current page on the right here, the ID is changing. What? Wait, what the heck? Or is it because it's like ultra nested? Like now it's able to change. But what's causing it to like hide and then not display? Texas or California is the Golden State. Golden State is California. Texas is the Lone Star States. Georgia, which is the state I live in, is the Peach States. And New York is the Empire States And that's pretty much it. Florida is the orange state, I think. I don't remember what Alabama is. You know. Sweet home Alabama. Yeah. But California is Golden State. That's why the renowned NBA team Warriors are sometimes referred to as the Golden State Warriors. It's not the California Warriors. Golden State Warriors. The more you know. So why is this not toggling? All right, I guess we can just add a print statement here. So like print current page, and then current page, what I can do, so bone name, do I set a bone, the name of the thingy here? I don't. So we can do name is equal to bone name for starters, so I don't need to do that after the fact. So then we can print the name of the page here. We'll run it, so then we'll just have like little debug print statements. All right, well, invalid get index name on base nil. Hey. Okay. Okay. So it was nil. I guess that's, oh, you know what? It's probably because here I need to set the initial page. So in model, I set the initial page, and then dot setup does a thing. Current page, or I guess we toggle page, right? So we need to initially toggle a page. What? That should be the current page, because the toggle page sets, oh, it's because we need to toggle it initially. My favorite city is still Detroit. Seems to be very peaceful there. Is that sarcasm? Detroit. I think Detroit is renowned for being kind of a wasteland. I know it's not really a wasteland anymore. Like it's gone under some economic reforms. It's still not a very... It still does not have a very good reputation among cities. Atlanta also does not have a very good reputation, considering that it was burned down once before. I think San Francisco is not horrible. San Francisco, San Jose, any of the Sans in California can't be too bad. New York City kind of sucks. That might be my southern bias showing up. All right, run me. Bones. Info, tail, collar. Yeah, I mean, this is working, but it's just not changing the page? Question mark? It looks like a place to make a new chapter at least. The last? Or at least. Maybe. Detroit? I don't know if you're being serious. I think if you're being serious, I'm sorry to say this to you, but Detroit is not one of the cities you want to go to, I think, for that. It's had a lot of economic stimulus, but I think yeah, it's a city that's past its prime. Yeah, it's a relic. So code is working, good. Nope, code is not working. I'm not really sure what's going on either. I think this requires a lot more prints, unfortunately. So this is going to be like hiding this thing, and then that's not how you spell hiding, by the way, but showing this thing, current page name, hiding. So is it good sarcasm? Oh yeah. Guess you got me, or did I get you? So showing base Wait. Hiding base showing chest. Hiding chest showing stomach. Huh? What? But why is it showing the roots? Oh, is it because the roots bone never gets hidden? Question mark? Huh. But like, what? Huh? You know what? I'm already past my ending time. So, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to push this code. So, let me just, we'll just fix it up. So, git commit, fix up, then we'll rebase it, git rebase. And by rebase, I mean we're gonna squash it. Because we haven't really made any super progress. Get me out of here. So rebase, git push, force. Send it. We can also just watch it run, the CI, run in real time. That's my favorite part. Yeah. But if you enjoy the stream, I encourage you to give the channel a follow. I stream Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And on Wednesdays, today's Wednesday, by the way, from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern time, working on Godot stuff, super progress. I made some good progress. It's good progress. It was funny, thanks. You're welcome. I suppose. Did this actually run? Okay, it actually run, it just didn't update. But yeah, give the channel a follow. There's a Discord, there's a GitHub. If you want to download the piece of software that I've been working on, it's here. Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be live tomorrow from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Goodbye.